Hey everyone, Michelle here from Scrappy Soul Sister, and today I am working on a project for Mix It Up Monday, a YouTube hop over at Paper Snob Community, and this is every once a month, and you can check out that Facebook group for more details, or if you'd like to participate. This Monday we are working on this sketch from Lisa Caneo, my scrapbook table. And if I butchered your last name, I am so sorry. This is a two-page layout. And so at first I was like, maybe I'll just do one because I wasn't sure if I had enough pictures of um, uh, an event to do 6, 7, 8 pictures. But then I remembered in Flower Emporium it has some bikes, and I still have to scrapbook this little biking uh, day trip that I took with my daughter and my husband out on San Juan Island last year about this time. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity. Now, which papers I'm going to use, what my mixed media is going to look like, I don't know yet. But that is the direction I'm going. So let's figure it out. So I dug through my little selection of Flower Emporium and came up with these two green grid. So I'm going to use those on the background, but since I'm going to be doing some mixed media, I am doing two large white squares, and these are 10 by 10. And so this is generally how the layout is going to look. I am going to go ahead and trim these both down and really figure out how I want things to lay out. So I am cutting that other one down to 10 by 10. And yeah, I'm going to follow the sketch pretty closely. And I'm going to map my photos, the two sets of 2 by 2s with this light blue, and then my main pictures of the San Juan Ferry and of us with our biking helmets, our little selfie there. I'm going to mat on this pink grid. So I have so much Flower Emporium paper, so it's nice to get it out and use it. And so I had my chipboard titles out, and then I remembered I wanted to use rub-ons. So I'm going to use that Hello, Happy Times. And so I have that lined out. And then I thought, well, maybe I'm just going to keep going with rub-ons for my title. So I'm going to go ahead and use my T-square ruler and make sure that hello is nice and straight. Going to add that happy times as well. And then I've also cut out those word blocks that I am going to use. So I have the hello, happy times, and then I will have um, three of those four. One of them didn't really feel like the same type of message. So I have the here today. I have the green one there. And, I you might have heard me talk about this in other videos. I uh, had my nails done and I love them, but I have a hard time like picking up the paper from the backings of the cut file or of the rub-ons and such. So you'll see me use my craft knife for that here and there. I wanted to add a different font, and so I included that Sweet Life and then the gray piece below that. And I think I'm about done with my nice long title there. I take both of my white blocks to my sewing machine and sew around them with black thread. And I've marked both of them with where my pictures are going to go. And so now I'm going to do some quick mixed media. And so I spray both my papers with water in the areas that I'm going to be adding color. And I am using my Tim Holtz Distress Pencil watercolors. So I um, first start with breast sage, then I go into peacock, and I'm using a nice fat uh, fan brush there. After peacock, I do shaded lilac, and then I do picked raspberry, and then spun sugar. And so a little bit more about my paint tray. I just shaved all of my colors down into my paint tray, and it didn't take very much of my pencils at all to do that. I added water, and so then that made my little watercolor trays. So I find it to be very handy. I'm adding some splatters, and in between some of this, I am adding, oh, I know what I was just doing that I forgot to mention. I had a verbiage stamp, and so I stamped that in my mixed media areas with hickory smoke with a distress ink, and then I added water to it so it was a little bit blurry. And then I added that splatter stamp with a solvent-based ink so it would not run. My last step is taking some modeling paste with white paint through this little geometric stencil. So I do that on both pages. And this area, it's facing down. The other two areas, it is going across. And so they're all kind of pointing into the layout instead of away from the layout, if that makes sense. Now, I know I don't need to use all of my green paper because I have those white blocks, and so I cut some chunks out just to save myself some paper. And then I'm going to add some green trim around my um, white blocks there and adhere it to my darker green, and then that part is going to be complete, and I'll be able to start adding my pictures and my embellishments. Let's see here. And I typically don't do two-page layouts, so it's the filming of it is a little different for me. So my apologies if some of it isn't quite in frame. But now I am going to be working primarily on one page at a time. So I am adding my pictures. Now, I did have some double stick foam tape under my white paper there along the edges. And so, in order for my pictures to be flat, I'm just putting some foam along the part that is going to be on the green so it is flush when it meets the white square. Because there's foam, I'm going to use both liquid adhesive and my tape runner. The tape runner will stick it down long enough for the liquid adhesive to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on um, both pages. And I just have this picture and then my other little threesome that is going to go below. And then I will start looking at embellishments. And so I will, one of the things that I'm looking for in my embellishments is some numbers. And there are quite a few numbers in Flower Emporium of different types. Um, but I don't want anything real large because I want one, two, three over these three pictures, and then four, five, six with my other 2x2 pictures. And I kind of get myself in a bind with that. And so I'll talk through that here shortly when we get there. I am going to add these little rub-ons up to the top left. The sketch has a little bit of vertical action going on up in that corner, and so I thought these little paint chips were perfect for that. Going to struggle to get it to peel up. And I'm also going to add a couple more elements up there. I believe a couple of hearts and then just a little round phrase sentiment. And there, I think I finally got it. I'm definitely going to use the bike, and I'm going to build some clusters coming out of there with some different flowers. I'm going to stick to pinks under my main picture there and then go up into blues and whites towards the title. I love these little chipboard strips, these little borders. So I'm going to put one under my picture there. And I add that little swag that ends up going away. And I like the color of this English tea. Um, I cover the English tea with another element since this really didn't apply to what we were doing here. And there you see me digging for numbers and separating some out. And I find I end up going with those ones that look like, I guess, like luggage tags of some sort that like you would pull off at the airport. And so I do choose that one. I end up doing one, two, three, just across the tops of my photos there. And yeah, I think I like that. And so then I am going to move on to gluing some of these pieces down. Now, I said I was going to cover that label, and so I have done that with this butterfly. And I'm going to go ahead and start gluing those numbers down. And I'm going to add just a little bit more above the bike. Um, I am going to take away that swag, but I wanted to add some sort of rectangular element, whether it was a tag or some sort of journaling bit, something or other over there. And so I'm going to fill my little tin there with some flowers and go ahead and get them up on double stick, at least just on the tops of them with some foam. And yeah, that's going to, like I mentioned before, I'm going to start adhering some of these pieces down. But that swag element is going away, and I'm just pulling in this little note card. Um, and then I'll end up putting, I believe, a butterfly on it. I have my bike up on some foam there on his wheels, and we're ready for the other side. And so I already have some pieces pulled together for this. So I've built the cluster down there at the bottom right, though none of it is adhered yet. The one on the upper left, I've added some of the echinacea and some of the daisies. I've started my journaling there. So I just list by bullet points one, two, three, four, five, six, the different locations we stopped on our bike tour. But you might notice there are no luggage tags above those pictures because I couldn't find the six. I don't know. I haven't used those tags on anything else. I'm kind of assuming there was a six, and I probably should have verified before I started using them on the other side, but it could be that those just go without numbers if I don't find it. I think that you get the point of how that is supposed to work. So I'm just forging ahead. So I'm going to add some butterflies on this side as well. Um, and I also um, am going to add these little word strips. And so I find a smaller butterfly. That yellow one was way big. And I'm also going to use those two flag pennant pieces. I think those are super cute. And they kind of match the bike feel like you would have on the back of your bike. And so I added the favorite things as well as the butterfly above the bike. And I'm looking at the two pieces, two pages. What do I need to do to make them really feel like one layout? And so I add some of the word strips that I had on the right page. I add the same style over there to the left. And then on the right page, I added some of the little round elements to kind of help tie everything together. Now I'm adding some white paint and some splatters, and that is one of the last things I do. The last final thing I do is add rhinestones to my butterflies. So that's it. That's my layout. Thank you for joining me for this today. And check out all the other fabulous creators as you enjoy some close ups. Thank you, everyone.